It's time for 41 is the Mic, a weekly Chiefs podcast with Nick Jacobs of KSHB 41 and Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mic starts now.
Part of our continuing draft coverage here on 41 is the Mic. We are now joined by Graham Mertz, quarterback from not only just Bishop Miege, but Wisconsin, Florida. Great college career, great high school career, legend here in the Kansas City area. Graham, it's great to be able to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on. No, I'm excited for it. For it.
And tell us a little bit about what the experience has been so far preparing for the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's been different because I'm coming off an ACL right now. So the normal draft prep where it's like workout, meet, throw, I haven't added in rehab, treatment slot. So, I mean, my days are loaded up, but here in Kansas City, I mean, I'm working with Justin Hoover, who used to coach at Bishop Miege and Shawnee Mission East. He does quarterbacks all throughout this area, really the Midwest, honestly. The guys will come out here and see him. And then working over at KU Med with a guy named Kyle Veazey for my knee. And then I'm working with Bobby Stroup for just like physical training. So got a great group. They support me. They push me. But it's been great, man. I mean, a lot of fun stuff that you work your whole life to get to this point. Stuff like the combine and then pro day prep now. So no, it's been a blast. Parents' basement's fun too. So can't complain, man. In a good setup.
And what has that been like for you? Because I know you had a broken collarbone in college, and then you also have dealt with this ACL last year. What have those processes been like for you, and how have they kind of prepared you for not everything's going to be rosy and perfect, and you've got to just have a certain competitiveness and drive whenever you're trying to get back or get better than you were before physically?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's new. Like, I mean, I played probably 40 or 50 games in a row in my college career. And then I got hurt at the end of 2023, did my collarbone. And then this year, after fourth or fifth game, did my knee. So, I mean, it was different for me. I mean, obviously only missing one game last year wasn't a whole lot, but this year, kind of that first season where you're injured and you can't play and you got to kind of figure out how you can really contribute to a team and help them win in that. It was different at the start, but then I just found out that nothing changes as far as prep, how I carry myself every day, how I impact people. So found a way to win even when you're not playing. So that was interesting for me. But yeah, I mean, just mentally, the ability just to push through and just I try to simplify it and just stack one day after another. Two great days lead to 3, lead to 4, and then they add up over time. So for me, it's just about pushing myself every day, trying to get a little bit better in any way, shape, or form. And that's kind of what, when you're in pre-draft and you're on your own team for the first time, you don't really have a team. You kind of have your new little squad with me and my trainers. I'm training with Brady Cook. So for us to kind of push each other and just win today is kind of our theme.
What is kind of your timeline as far as the rest of the process and, how much you're planning on being able to do at your pro day?
Doing everything besides testing. So, I mean, we're ahead of schedule right now with my knee. I was actually going to throw at the combine. They didn't end up letting me just because I was 4.5 months out of surgery. I mean, probably wouldn't be the best thing if something happened. So they said, we're gonna hold off on combine. Then, but I'm gonna be good to go for pro day. As far as mini camp timeline, I'll be good to go. Camp, I mean, I'll be ready to rock because that kind of, with how early my injury happened, the timeline adds up actually pretty well. So that's one positive that came out of it is I know I'd be ready to go. So I kind of got something big to work for is getting back to that point where I'm cleared.
Now, Graham, for you, what was that experience like at the combine? I know, like you said, you didn't get to do the drill, but getting to talk to the teams, meet to the teams, and be around all those other great college prospects.
No, it was awesome. I mean, if you talk to anybody, I'm sure you heard it last week, but it's a long week. I mean, it's a lot of medical tests, physicals, cognitive tests, and then obviously you get to meet with teams. But it was definitely fun. I mean, especially for quarterbacks. I mean, you go to stuff like the Manning Passing Academy. I've known a bunch of these guys through high school, Elite 11, all this stuff. So getting around them again at that is fun. Just kind of building those relationships up more. But for me, the cool part is going back and coming from a place like Wisconsin and seeing guys that I played with at Wisconsin being able to kind of rekindle with them and chop it up when you're at the combine with them. And then obviously you got a bunch of Florida boys out there. So I think we had 9 guys there. So it was fun, man. It's a fun week. It's fun to get in front of those teams and just talk ball. I mean, it's kind of that point where you go through the whole pre-draft thing and you go in your day-to-day, and it's good to kind of get back to, okay, we're talking ball and we're really focused, and I'm learning your playbook and your terminology, and I'm coaching it back to you, and then you're grilling me on my plays, and it's fun stuff. It's fun stuff to get in those, especially the interview rooms. That for me was a absolute blast.
Yeah, when teams are talking to you, what are kind of some of the things that they want to ask about? I know it's probably different from every player, but what were kind of some of the more common questions and themes that you kind of got dealt with during the combine?
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming from at Wisconsin, was a lot of pro style, true under center, action, 7-step drop, 21 personnel, like heavy personnel stuff. Into Florida, where we were more 11 personnel, 12 personnel, more in the gun. So I think a lot of it was kind of like, okay, how would you call this at Florida? And then what was your terminology at Wisconsin, to see how you could recall certain plays. And then they'd pop up the film and then ask you to explain what was happening in this play, what was the defense, what was their scheme on defense. So for the quarterbacks, it's a lot about just recall and what you can remember. And I like to think about like your brain's a toolbox, and every time you take a rep, you're throwing another wrench in there. So for me, it was a lot of recall. Quarterbacks, you get a lot of protection, and then just personality. Like you get a bunch of random questions. Like I'm sure you've heard stories of, are you a cat or a dog? Or we're going to the beach and you're the passenger, and what are your 2 responsibilities? Like stuff like that, just to see how you think. So you get a few of those. They're kind of getting away from those a little bit, more just about ball, about protection, about their terminology. Like they'd give you a play and then try to get you off track in your head on something else. And then, hey, remember that play? Go draw it up and again, install it for us. So just fun stuff.
Yeah, I know when I talked to Tyler Wilson probably a decade ago at this point, he was coming out of Arkansas. And like, I know he told me the experience of the interview. He had a sheet that had numbers to a room. You didn't know who was in the room. And then when you open the door, you're like, oh, hey, there's that head coach. Oh, hey, there's that general manager. Did you ever kind of have, you don't necessarily have to say the team or who it was, but did you ever have one of those starstruck moments where you're like, I'm literally sitting across from this head coach that I've watched, or this GM that I've heard about?
I mean, the thing is, you're rubbing shoulders with everybody. I mean, it's not like you're definitely in the meeting room, like when you first walk in. I mean, it's like you get like the spotlight right on you, and then you get like 20 people in a room sitting to your right, sitting to your left, across from you. And then it's all like, all right, we're going to grill you. Hope you're ready for it. But the cool thing about the combine is like, no matter where you go, like if I'm going to go train with Bobby, like in the performance center. I mean, you're going to walk past Mike McDaniel. You're going to walk past all these coaches, GMs. Like they do a good job of like, they're going to see you, and you always have eyes on you. So the combine's fun just because you can start up short conversations. I mean, especially like in the coaching world, going through like high school recruiting, all these different things, even in college, like you see all these guys that end up getting jobs in the NFL. So it's good to kind of get back with them and talk to them. And that was definitely a blast of it.
Graham, one thing Andy Reid here in Kansas City says that the best thing for college quarterbacks these days is that you get to throw a lot. And you being in 2 different offenses, I know you threw over 1,200 passes, over 9,000 yards in college. How did those 2 experiences with different offenses and getting to work as much as you did, how do you feel like that's prepared you for the next level?
Oh, it's prepared me tremendously. I mean, I think for me, even going back to high school, like we were at Blue Valley North, I mean, we were air raid. Like it was, our outside zone was a hitch to the right. Like we did not run the ball. We threw it like 60 times a game. So for me, just going from that system in high school to Wisconsin and getting under center, learning that timing, learning how to take a drop, how to there's so many layers to it at Wisconsin, like mic points in the run game, how to change protection, how to carry different protections. So many different things that I learned at Wisconsin that really prepped me for this step. And going to Florida, pretty similar like concept, stuff like that, but more out of the gun. So being able to have both those in your toolbox and and be comfortable with both of them is big for me. So, I mean, I learned so much at Wisconsin, taught me so much about ball. True pro style ball, the OG pro style ball is what I learned there. So great experiences, but they both prepped me extremely well.
Now, Graham, for you, you had the benefit that a lot of college quarterbacks don't get, to where you got to go against Big Ten defenses, and then you also got to go against SEC defenses there. What did you benefit from there, and what did you kind of learn getting to go against two different styles of defense in college?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think that you think about like Big Ten defense, you think about size, you think about mass, and especially those front seven. On the secondary, a lot more zone coverage. You get a little bit of man built in, but you get down to the SEC, you get a little more lean guys, faster guys on the edge, and then a lot more man match on the back end. So I think it's just the ability to play on time versus zone, and then anticipate versus man. And you got some speed, like you got some speed coming off the edge in the SEC. So being able to trust your timing, trust your drop, and then win versus man coverage was a big step once you go to the SEC. Big Ten was a lot of just anticipation. I mean, see the defense, read the defense post snap, and then find the weakness. So two great, like across the entire league, both those leagues. I mean, you got dudes at every school. Like there's not one game that I can remember, especially these past 2 years, where you're like, all right, that's the we call it the fish. That's the fish on the defense. We're going to attack that guy. I mean, you just got solid players. So it's our best versus your best. We got to win one-on-one matchups with ball placement, anticipation. So that's a really good question. But there are definitely some similarities, but the biggest difference would be that front seven, how they play, how the edge rushers play, and then on the back end.
Hey, Graham, it's hard to have the success that you've had without some people who've helped you along the way. Is there a coach or a person, and it might be even more than one, that has really stood out to you as somebody who's kind of, helped you up, lifted you up, inspired you, kind of pushed you to be the quarterback you are?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like you can't, especially anywhere in life, you can't get anywhere without some help and some guidance. You can try to do it on your own, but it's a lonely path, man. So, I mean, I've been blessed all the way back to my dad coached me in Little League. So I learned a lot from my dad then, still do to this day. But I think for me, I think anytime you hear that question, you instantly think about your high school coach. I think that just the impact that your high school coach can have on not only you, but everybody around you. I mean, mine was Andy Sims, and he was the GOAT, man. He taught me what hard work looks like, how to lead yourself, how to push yourself, how to raise that standard every day. So he's one person that through my entire time in college will always keep up with me, always shoot me a message through the good times and the bad. So that's one person that I'm so thankful for. Like, will forever. I mean, he'll be here, the draft party, everything. I can't wait to see him. I haven't seen him yet, but yeah, I'd say my high school coach. And then along the way, I mean, I've had a lot of really good coaches. I've been blessed, man. I think that this past year or 2 years at Florida, having Coach Napier, and then Ryan O'Hara was our quarterback coach. He was one guy that really pushed me when I got to Florida and pushed me to get to that next level. Like he was never satisfied. I love being coached hard. He coached me hard. And I feel like my first 6 months at Florida, that offseason was where I developed the most. So I think that Coach O'Hara, Coach Napier, they did a fantastic job.
Now, I know this next question.
To answer your question, a lot of people helped me out.
Now, I know this next question is going to be tough, and don't feel like you just have to narrow it down to one. But for any fan that's going to watch a game of yours, or draft enthusiast or whatever, that's going to look at what you've done as a quarterback, is there a play that you feel like kind of defined your game and showcased who you are and the tool belt that you have available to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, oh gosh, one play. That's 6 years.
That's why I said you don't have to narrow it down to one. If there's a couple, feel free.
I'd say one play that for me kind of brings my whole career into one play. I mean, we played South Carolina 2023. There's 8 minutes left. We were down 10. And like for some reason, we stalled out like 2 drives in a row, like backs were against the wall, and ended up going down, leading 2-minute drives, and then ended the game on a game winner, little corner post to Ricky Pearsall. So I think for me that last throw to Ricky kind of symbolizes my whole career. Like, your back's against the wall, odds are stacked against you. Like, what are you going to do? So I think for me, that game being down 10, 8 minutes left, 2-minute drives to go win would be the one.
You know, I always like to ask this of the local kids, and so this might be a tough one for you, Graham, with the situation here. But hey, it's draft weekend. You look at your phone; it's an 816, maybe a 913 area code pops up, says, "Hey, the Chiefs want you." What would it be like? I mean, you know, especially here in Kansas City, your hometown, but you know, working with a Patrick Mahomes, working with an Andy Reid in this organization.
No, it'd be awesome. I mean, I grew up my whole life being a Chiefs fan. My second uncle's Dustin Colquitt, so kind of always grew up around the Chiefs and worked out with Patrick a little bit during COVID. So, no, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I think for me, just seeing that phone light up is going to be the best moment of my life. Something that you work for your entire life, and being able to stay home in OP, Kansas City wouldn't be too bad. I mean, I love growing up here. It's definitely my home for life. So that'd be electric, to say the least.
And having gotten to work with Bobby, I mean, a lot of people finally got to kind of see what him and Patrick go through to create that flexibility and that pliability to keep Patrick from not getting injured when he gets bent like a pretzel at times.
No doubt.
Yeah, for you, what would have been the benefits of being able to kind of work with Bobby, a guy who's helped Bobby Witt and Mahomes as well?
Yeah. So I started working with Bobby before this past year. I think that for me, anytime I get done with the season, I always look at, okay, what went well, what I need to improve. And for me, going into this last year was a little bit more mobility, and then just strength, moving through the pocket and being able to trust it, get out and make the throws you need to make, being able to take a hit too. I mean, we don't train how to take a hit. I don't have Bobby lining up in a 3-point stance and coming and lighting me up, but it's been big. It's been real big for me. So we started working before the season, and just moving around, feel a lot stronger. You said pliability, mobility. That's kind of all we do. Do a lot of strength training too, but especially right now, coming off a knee. I mean, I kind of always joke around. I'm like, Bobby, you're a wizard. Like, you are a wizard. I don't know what you're doing, but it works. So for me, I'm blessed to be able to work out with him. And he's helped my ACL rehab a lot too. Just finding ways to find new strength, and build. We're kind of like rebuilding my lower half. So it's been great.
Hey, Graham, I really appreciate your time, taking time out of a busy schedule, I know, with everything that you've got as far as rehab goes and getting ready for the draft. Any final thoughts that you want to share with just the fans who followed you all the way from high school through college to this moment in your career?
Yeah, let's do it. I think for me, I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful for my journey. I've learned a lot, had a lot of people sticking by me, rooting for me. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for following me throughout this journey, and we got a lot more to go. So I appreciate it.
You've been listening to 41 is the Mic, presented by KSHB 41, your home of the Chiefs and Chiefs Digest.